Welcome back to another episode of Emotional Nightmares. My name is Tyler. I am your host, and today we're coming from you to a new location. As you can see, we're not in the studio as typical. We are at Club 831 down here in Butler. It's a sober club where you can come, you can hang out. You can not get high today. That's the whole point of it. So we're down here today, and on today's episode we got a guest with us. What is it, 6 months clean now?
Coming up, yeah.
Alright. So we got George with us. He's gonna talk to us about relapse and his story and how that goes. So George, put your ego aside and introduce yourself.
I'm George. I am an addict. I'm a product of two addicts. My father was cocaine and booze, and my mother was marijuana, pills, and booze. We grew up in a rural area. My father lived in New Swickley, trailer court in the middle of freaking nowhere.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what the hell's that?
Yeah, it's like on the backside of Cranberry, between Cranberry and Freedom.
Okay.
Like, but it's
so
like
the Freedom Run Road going into
Rochester Road. If you come in when you cross over from Butler County to Beaver County, it's like right there.
Alright, I know where you're at.
Yeah. So and then my mom lived in Zillionople, right on Main Street. So which was back then. It's not like it is now. It was like all surrounded by cornfields and cows and farms and stuff like that. But
so you're a farm boy.
Kinda, yeah. Not like I wanted to be there. I really had much of a choice. That's
no
how
sheep stories, right?
No, not that I remember anyway. But, so my father was a carpenter, and because of his addiction, my grandparents are the ones that like had me most of the time. They didn't feel comfortable leaving me alone, so they knew my father's boss, the guy that he framed houses for. So I was allowed to see him during work hours, which in turn turned me into a carpenter. That's what I do for a living. But so like back and forth with my mom and dad, I was able to play them against each other a lot.
Sure.
So manipulation started very young for me.
By very young, how old were you?
I remember being grounded in my mom's house and then praying my dad would come to like pick me up on the weekends. Sometimes he showed, sometimes he didn't. And when he took me, would never, my mom would be like, make sure they still to this day don't talk to each other very well. So they didn't communicate at all. So I would be like, oh no, everything's fine. That way I wasn't grounded when I went to my father's house. Because he was a pretty strict man back then. Still is. I just don't have no control over me now. But, so I would, not tell my dad whenever, I was grounded or I got bad grades or anything like that.
So typical kids.
Yeah, you played both cards. You played.
Sure.
You lied to mom about things that happened at dad's house, and you lied to dad about things that happened at mom's house. But my grandparents, my mom's parents, they're the ones that pretty much raised me because both my parents were in active addiction. So they had a big landscape company, so we worked every day. From a child, I remember passing out on the couch during a snowstorm, knowing I wasn't going to school in the morning, and waking up in the front seat of a plow truck with my grandfather. So like I learned most of my childhood was working. Like I played sports and stuff like that, but like for the most part, any bonding time I had with any male role models in my life was through work.
Work and drinking, because parents and everybody was still doing that too, right?
Yeah, my grandparents really didn't drink though much at all. Like 4th of July picnic stuff like that. My dad every day.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's safe to say that at the end of the day, you normalized go to work, get drunk, go to work, get drunk, repeat.
Yeah.
Because that's what you're seeing.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my teenage years were, in high school we experiment with different drugs, hallucinogens and stuff like that. I was a pretty heavy pot smoker. My mom always had it, so I'll just take it.
Did you make it through high school?
I did. I graduated in 2001. From down, I actually got thrown out of Seneca Valley and had to go to freedom. So like my mom threw me out, and I had to go live with my dad.
Okay.
Beginning of my 9th grade year.
So now we're in adulthood.
Yeah, we're.
I mean, kind of.
Yeah, I mean it. With my father, like even though he worked, there was 4 of us. The lady he was with, Tracy, had 3 boys, Bobby, Jimmy, and Chris. Bobby right now is 43. I'm 42. Jimmy's 41, and Christopher would have been 40. So we were all 1 year apart. So like they didn't have any money or anything, but like my dad was not against like driving by a pumpkin patch and like jumping out and loading a van with pumpkins, so we had pumpkins for Halloween and stuff. You know what I mean? But except I was his biological child, so like I was normally an accomplice. You know what I mean? It was,
right.
You know,
so again, normalizing behavior.
Right. So like whenever I decided to like, whenever I became an adult, like it wasn't anything to like go to the bar, get drunk, get into a fist fight, go spend a couple of days in jail and get out, and it wasn't anything. It wasn't a big deal. My dad did it. I did it. My brothers did it.
So when did it become a big deal?
I finally,
like, what was your moment, right? Because basically what you're describing is typical childhood for most people, right? We go through this shit, right? And obviously you crossed the line into addiction along the way. And when crossing that line, what was that moment in your head that said, fuck, this ain't normal and I have to change something? What was that thought?
I think it was whenever I finally, I mean, this isn't even that long ago, like 7, 8 years ago, when I finally came into like working for the company I work for now and seeing how them guys were. And yeah, they do drink beer, but like they don't totally ruin their life. And then when I started assessing like the way that the life that I could have versus the life that I do have.
Okay.
And again, that would happen in a jail cell. So you know what I mean. Like, and then you're in desperate times, and actually you want to get out. You know what I mean. So
everybody finds God in prison.
Right.
That's where he lives.
Yeah. But I mean, like, luckily for me, like, I was a 2-time-a-year guy at Mercer County Jail there quite a bit. So like they have a lot of NA and AA literature just laying around.
Right.
And my family, because of the reoccurring visits to jail, they don't really pick the phone up when I call. They don't put money on my books. So like I'm not getting books sent in. I'm not buying soups and stuff like that. I'm just.
I mean, that's good.
Yeah.
They're not enabling you.
Right.
You know
But that's whenever I started burying myself into the literature, and even that started to open my eyes a little bit and coming around the rooms. You're talking from probably like 18 to 35. Like, even though that I was married with a child, and I did do 6.5 years of sobriety, but I never worked a program. Right. And it was any little teeny thing would just like, it was really hard to not use.
So let's rewind that, right? Because one of the things we talk about a lot on this show is the many pathways to recovery, right? And when you're saying like work in a program, I mean, that's important, right? Because a lot of times, we have people that'll say, well, I'm sober. Like, I quit using drugs and alcohol. Why isn't that enough?
Yeah.
And you just described it, right?
Yeah.
That 6.5 years where you did put drugs and alcohol down, right?
Yeah.
But I'm guessing you were still miserable.
Oh, absolutely.
White knuckling.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And you were probably better off drinking at that point.
Yeah, well, I didn't know how to handle life, at all. Like,
sure.
I didn't.
So no
I was
coping
just,
skills.
I was avoiding my only coping mechanism that I knew. I was avoiding it. You know what I mean? And
Right.
it wasn't like, and that's basically what it was. You can call it, I didn't use, yes, but that's what it was. Is like I knew that that's how I coped with things, and I knew that them things were bad, so I just didn't do them. So I didn't cope with stuff at all.
Right.
I just,
instead you buried 6 years of your life into an emotion.
Yeah, and then when things finally got bad enough, I climbed back into the bottle even worse. You know what I mean? And it was a rapid fire.
So let's take it there, right? Because the old saying, you never, once you stop and you pick up again, you go right back to where you were.
Yep.
Right? So you stop for 6.5 years, you're white knuckling, you pick up again, right? What was the thought that said, fuck it, I'm getting drunk?
I was going through a divorce, and it was just like, I went to, when I come home from a bender one time, and my ex-wife now, when we were married at the time, said, you can't stay here, but there's a bed waiting for you. So I went. I got in my truck and I drove up there and I did my 30 days. And I felt amazing, and I did go to meetings, you know what I mean, a couple times a week, but like I didn't have a sponsor, didn't work steps, didn't really read anything. So whenever me and her split, I was like, I felt like I lost my purpose for anything, to do good. Like I lost my purpose to, you know what I mean? Like she stayed at home. We had a special needs child, so she stayed at home and I worked. So like now I don't have that. So now there's nothing keeping me on the straight and narrow. You know what I mean? Like I didn't think that I wanted to do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it was just basically, the point is like, I didn't think that I deserved the life that I have now. Like I didn't think I deserved it. So why even bother?
Right.
Because it is a lot of work. Like it's a lot of work.
Well, yeah. I mean, nothing worth working for is ever going to be
Absolutely.
easy.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah, but and then
So
after
you picked up again.
Yeah.
And obviously
it was
that
bad.
went right back to.
It was bad. It was
Yeah.
real bad. I moved up to Mercer County, and I met another girl, my daughter's mom.
I'm starting to see a pattern.
Yeah, well, as far as you ask around.
I know all good stories. There was this.
Well, they never start with I was sitting there eating a salad.
No, it never does.
But yeah, so, and she was, cool. But she was an addict. You know what I mean? She wasn't in recovery or anything like that. She drank. She had a bad past, and she didn't really like indulge in it anymore because she had children that she took care of, and and then whenever me and her got together, at the time the doctor was prescribed me an obscene amount of pain pills for my back, which I still have the same back problem. Just I don't, they don't prescribe them anymore. Back then they were just giving them to you.
OxyContin days.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I remember one time it was cold outside. And I called the doctor because I ran out, and I was like, "It's so cold, I got to take twice as many for my back hurts." And she wrote the script. Like I went to Walmart right after work and picked them up. I was like, "This is 180 of these things. This is retarded."
Yeah, Purdue fucked us all up.
Yeah. But so me and her, it went real fast. And she was an awesome. And like I still talk to her this day. Her daughter, we have a daughter together. Well, it's not my biological child, but I raised her. Actually, during that relationship was when I first met you.
You met me during that one?
Yeah, when I come up when you guys were still at the bar down in.
Okay.
We were had to stay there for 30 days.
Okay. I thought I saw you during a Turning Point stint.
I was a Turning Point. I don't remember you at Turning Point though.
Okay.
There was a lot
So
of.
you came up to where I'm.
Yeah, because Turning Point, that's
right?
the one where my ex-wife was like, "You can't." That's where I went. Was Turning Point. I went up there, but Jen, like my PO came and I was ducking them for all them times, and well, hold on a minute. So we moved in really, really fast, and we were still drinking and doing pills pretty heavy, but like I could afford it at the time, and it didn't become a problem. And then I can't remember what happened, but I caught charges, and I went to jail, and I got out on parole, and they told me that I had to stay away from her, and I remember going like, okay, that's good enough, and I didn't understand why. And because it wasn't like she was a bad person or anything like that, but because she was just like me.
Right.
Like we were going to run this.
We were going to
run this. Like, you know what I mean? Like there was no such thing as a bad idea. You know what I mean? Like, and that was a problem. We were together for 10 years. Well, like 8 years, something like that. And, I still talk to her. Like I said, like we're still friends. Like when I'm up north working, I stay at her house because it's technically, I bought the damn thing. But, she also like had enough. Like I went to jail one more time and I just never went back, and she stopped using. She drinks, and she has her medical card, but like doesn't wreck her life with it. She can handle that. You know what I mean? Some people have levels. You know what I mean? Like I know, like
I don't understand it, but
I don't understand either. Like listen,
yeah.
I was after I lost, I lost my girlfriend in February. I couldn't sleep. Like I could not sleep at all. Like nothing I did, when I come home, like I just see that.
So you're going way too far.
Yeah.
You're jumping way ahead and you're missing a lot of crucial stuff, right?
Right.
So you came to rehab, right?
Yeah.
When you came to rehab, you had all the answers.
I read the book once.
Yeah, you read the book, so you got all the answers. You know exactly what you got to do. You're going to go do it. You came to here, Butler area.
Right.
Right? You met the girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? The girl that's, rest in peace, is no longer with us.
Yeah.
Um,
Ugh.
you were doing recovery,
Yeah, I was actually fresh out of a relapse.
and then you guys picked up again.
Yeah. I relapsed twice. Um, she actually came into the trap house and got me both times. And then I went to another rehab. And when I come home, I noticed like everything was good for a little bit, but like I noticed behavior changes, and I never said anything about it. Um,
So this is when she started relapsing?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I know the behavior changed.
Did you pick up during that time?
No, not at first. I did not. We did relapse together, but it wasn't until later on. I remember I come home from work and she was like dressed with like her book bag, like sitting in bed, like, and I was like, this woman ain't never ready for nothing ever. Like we're late for everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're all right, and I could see the anxiety in her. You know what I mean? Like her foot was bouncing real heavy. It just wasn't her. And she's like, oh, a friend of mine's having issues. I'm gonna go help him get into rehab, whatever. I'm like, okay, whatever. Well, she was gone for like 6 hours, and I'm like, they should have came and got you by now and took you. You know what I mean? So when she came home and I noticed that she was high, I called her out on it, and then I drug tested her, and she failed for fentanyl and coke, and I tested her again because she said, oh, it was it's the cups. Like, come on, like. So I tested her again. She failed again, and then she tried like putting water in it and like peeing on top of it. She had enough pee to raise the temperature.
So I want to point out the toxicity of this relationship, right? Because like if I'm in I'm in a relationship now, my girlfriend's over there on the other couch, right? If I have to start drug testing her, or if she says to me, Tyler, you have to pee in a cup, I'm pretty sure our relationship is over.
Yeah.
Right? Because if we're to the point where we have to start drug testing each other. Like now we're kind of toxic.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So again, you got out of rehab. You're in a whole nother toxic ass relationship.
Yeah.
Right.
They get a lot of them.
It sounds like
toxic women
like
love
we're kind
me.
of picking up the pattern here of toxicity in relationships.
Yeah.
And it's not. So I don't want to say like they're toxic relationships because they might not have been. Right, but they were relationships. I know these microphones. It's not my normal setup. I'm a little weird right now.
It's the couch. I'm telling you.
But yeah, these couches are very sinking in. Like I want to point out, like it's not the normal toxicity.
Right.
Right, because I'm sure there's some healthy stuff going on, but it's hard to have healthy stuff when both people are using because the drugs and the alcohol are the main focus point.
Right.
So like if we're in a relationship where drugs and alcohol are the main factor in that relationship, then nothing else matters other than the drugs and alcohol. So therefore, that's what makes it toxic. Right. So I want to point that out. So do you want to talk about that night?
Sure. That started when I drug tested her because then she tried putting water in the cup, peeing on top of it, but I was on parole for a very long time, so like I know that the temperature is supposed to move, and the temperature strip never moved, so I called her out on it. Wasn't much of an argument, but like she took off, and we were managing a 3/4 house together at the time. So I went and chased her down, and boy, she had some long legs. It took I was like running to catch this woman. And finally I was like, listen, I don't care. Let's just go back to the house. We'll deal with it in the morning, get some sleep. Now, mind you, she was never up before 11 o'clock. And I wake up early. So I got up at like 6. And she's coming back in the bedroom door. And I'm like, hey, what's up? And she opened up her hand and had my drug of choice in her hand. You know what I mean? And then it was, I can't do it here. We got to go. So then we got a hotel room and stuff. And, that was like the time we relapsed. And then,
do you hear the stupidity of that thinking? Right?
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna point that out. Right? The stupidity of
that
that
it was
thinking.
terrible.
I can't which is what, crack, right?
Yes.
So I can't smoke crack here.
Yeah,
because
so we gotta go.
Fucking Jamie might find out.
Well,
right? So I can't smoke crack here. But if we go to a hotel and smoke crack, nobody will know.
Right. And it was fine. Like the messed up part.
Great.
So, but then I started thinking because anytime I relapse, like, for one, I don't like to take people with me, so like I will isolate, like
Okay.
nobody can find me. You know what I mean? I'm not taking anybody else out. Um, and of course, like at the time, I thought it was like that's what she wanted, but like now that I reflect on it, I realize that like she was covering her ass. She knew if she got me high, I couldn't tell on her for being high. And like I see that now, but at the time, I didn't see it. And I'm not talking bad about her at all, because like the one that I fell in love with, the one that was around at the end, aren't the same person.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're just not. And we're all like that. That's Jackal and High.
Mhm.
You know. But yeah, but her DOC is not like, she does heroin, so like it's not the same as mine. So then like I noticed like she was continuously doing it, and I actually had to tell her like it's either that stuff or me. And I came home from work one day and she was dope sick, and we had money. You know what I mean? So she didn't have to be. And that the next day she got drug tested, and actually blamed the entire thing on me. Said that I took her. I relapsed, went to a trap house, and she had to come get me, and she wasn't strong enough. And actually, and then like my dude's texting me like, what the, like, calling me out. I'm like, what are you talking about? That is not what happened. But and then I told him, because like I don't lie to him whenever, you know what I mean. Like I just don't. I don't see the purpose in it, the point in it. But so he actually tracked her down and found her, and she confessed everything, and she went away to rehab, and that was my last straw, and I got thrown out of the 3/4 house. So like I got an apartment for me and her, and I told her like, if you want to go 3/4 house, that's fine. I'll make sure your rent's paid and you get out. You know what I mean? But I'm here. So she moved in with me, and everything was going good for a week. After my relapse, I really didn't want to go to meetings and stuff. So like I was kind of like, you know, I was building resentment towards people in you know, in a program that didn't relapse, like it's their fault or some shit. You know what I mean? I don't know. But
Yeah. God forbid.
yeah, I
they
know.
stayed
How
sober.
dare they be sober?
Yeah. What a bunch of crap.
Right? So everything was good, and she knew that I was not going to let her walk like to a meeting in Butler like by herself. So like I was going to meetings because like I'm not going to let her walk around by herself, even though she grew up here. And then I ran a meeting here every Saturday. She never missed it. We went to
At the 831 Club here in Butler.
Yeah. Called Egos Aside.
Yeah.
So we went to help her mom with this chili cook-off thing for Rotary Club. Normal day, we went, and there's like a little like festival thing. They had like vendors and stuff. We walked around with James and them, and everything was good. Went home, both passed out, and I remember her waking me up, being like, "Hey babe, I'm gonna go help my mom clean up and go see my sponsor." And I was like, "All right, cool." And then she asked me a question, and I didn't answer. She gave me a kiss, like, "Call me when you get up." And I had to come to the meeting, so I got up and I called her, and she's like, "Yeah, I'll meet you over there. Or I might even be home before you leave." Da da da. Showered, she's not home, and I walk everywhere here, so like I was getting ready to walk over here, figure I'd see her here, and she asked me to stop at Penn Street because a friend of ours was there and wanted to walk to the meeting with us, and I was like, "Yeah, cool." She's like, "I'll just meet you over there." Well, she wasn't there when I got there, and the friend hasn't seen her either. The one thing with her, like, is she might not pick up the phone when I call, but she would always call me back, like as soon as she could.
Right.
And I was calling her, she wouldn't pick up the phone, but she was texting me. And like, so I kind of called her out because like I was in love with her. I wanted to believe her that she was going to meet me at the meeting. Go ahead, start walking. I'll catch you guys. Nothing. I'm like 10 minutes behind. You'll be at the meeting. And at one point during the meeting while I was chairing, she texted me and said, "I'm at the store. Do you want anything? I'm on my way to the meeting." And I was like, "I want your ass at this meeting," you know, because I knew what was going on. Like, as much as like I didn't like confront the issue right then and there, like I knew what was going. I knew she relapsed because that was her MO. Like she won't pick up the phone and talk because you can hear it in her voice and stuff like that. You know, so she just didn't.
The heroin lingo.
Right.
That raspy voice.
Well, then Nicole actually took me home, dropped me off, and now I'm talking shit on text, like, because now I'm calling you out on your.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like now I'm not around this.
Anger's setting in.
Right, and it's not just that. Like now I'm 110% sure that you relapsed, and now I'm calling her out, and she's still lying to me, and that was the most hurtful thing, was her actually lying to me about it, because like we're all addicts. Relapse happens. You know, it's sometimes it's part of life. You know, it sucks that it's part of a lot of people's stories, it's part of mine, but it is part of a lot of stories. You know, not everybody can step up to the plate and knock it out the box in the first run. You know, And that was the part that I think that was most crushing for me, is the fact that I had to watch it, and I knew what was going on.
Yeah, it's hard to watch the people you love kill themselves.
So Saturday, she didn't come home. Apparently she came back there, but I was passed out and I didn't hear her knock because we only had one set of keys. And I didn't think she was coming home, so I didn't even bother to leave the door unlocked or anything. And then Sunday she comes home, and we didn't really argue. We sat down, discussed what was going on. She still didn't come forth with the whole I relapsed, whatever. But watched TV in bed, passed out. And I got up for work Monday morning later than normal, and she was snoring in bed, which she snored. It wasn't a big thing. But every morning since the time I met her, since the time we started dating, 'cause we were friends first for a little bit. Because I remember somebody told me that if you approach a relationship with friendship intent, you're more likely to see the red flags than you do if you approach it with romantic intent from the gate. I wonder who said that.
Not me. I don't believe in red flags.
Yeah. It's because you're colorblind.
I mean, it does sound like some bullshit I would have said in treatment. I don't believe in the red flag scenario, right? Because like red flags, just because I think something's a red flag, doesn't mean you do.
Right.
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 Because relationships are all perception, so it's all based off of like how much are you willing to put up with? Like, what are you willing to go through and what are you not willing to go through? Like, everybody has a line in the sand in a relationship, right? Like, and everybody has a breaking point. So there's always those, like, few things that are like, I'll do whatever.
Right.
Maybe, like, 2 or 3 things I'm not doing,
right.
And, like, I gotta leave. I think everybody in the world is kind of in that mindset. I don't think so. Like, I always hate like the red flag talk.
Right.
Well, you should have seen this red flag. No, because just because you think it's a red flag doesn't mean it's a real red flag.
But that doesn't mean it's not a red flag, because like
True.
to me, like if I see so like the girl that I'm talking to now, like she can't devote the time to me that I like at first. Like every other relationship I had. And it was aggravating at first, but to be honest with you, like she's chasing dreams.
Well, let me ask you this: what are we doing different in this relationship? So hold on, let's before we get to that.
Yeah,
right?
we keep getting sidetracked.
You're sidetracked.
Yeah, I do.
You do that very well.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, right? So unfortunately, the girl that you're talking about, right? So she finally relapsed and doesn't wake up.
Yeah.
Right. Fentanyl takes her out.
Yeah, she was actually the snoring I heard Monday morning was actually a death gargle.
Yeah, and unfortunately, fentanyl is killing so many people.
Yeah,
right, and that's kind of what helped birth this whole thing. Right.
Right.
So you started using still. Right?
I did. I held on there for probably about a month, maybe a couple weeks,
and then picked up again.
I did.
How long did you use for? So you've been using from then until this last 6 months, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
I
so
went
before this 6 months, right?
Yeah.
What happened 6 months ago that you were like, I've got to try this again?
This relapse wasn't about me getting high. It was for some reason my grieving process never went fully through. And like, don't get me wrong, like I'm not like I don't like to throw excuses out for relapse. Look, I'm a drug addict. When shit happens, that's how I deal with things. But like the thing that I was dealing with was the fact that I never let myself grieve completely. It stopped at a certain point, and it was hurting. And because like I was very violent in this relapse, very violent. So I was doing things like that would normally put a target on my back, and you know what I mean, and it wasn't, you know what I mean. I didn't want to live anymore. Like I didn't want to feel this pain, and I didn't know how to get rid of it. You know what I mean? And I tried every substance I could get my hand on. I was hitting drug dealers.
In a sense, instead of going through the grieving process,
like
you chose the drugs and alcohol as a way to go through the grieving
Right.
So basically, you did the same
My
thing.
disease stopped my grieving process, so I had an excuse to use.
Sure, you went
Right.
all the way back to the very beginning
Yes.
of our when we started this 29 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Which was, I used drugs and alcohol as a way to cover my emotions.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So instead of going through this process, you've been masking it with the drugs and the alcohol.
And that's one thing with me is like I've always been like I don't let everybody into my life that I know. Like certain people, like my we is very small but very, very tight. You know what I mean? So like I always use as an excuse to not get personal in meetings and share things that are going on with me. But I share them with my we. And this time around, like I share personal things going on with me in meetings to get them off my chest, and also to get other perspectives from people with substantial clean time of what they did.
So are you taking the suggestions?
I do. I also use my sponsor and talk to my sponsor more than I ever have because he's a very religious man. So what I was going through and him being that close with God, like it's a little. He helps me out in ways that I understand what I'm doing and explains them in ways that, you know, my higher power. Like he explains them in ways that I can understand and still work a third step where I'm not taking my own will back. I understand that this is why it's happened. And the messed up thing is, as much as I love that woman, like if she was still here, that relapse, I would have rode right with her. I guarantee I'd have rode right with her.
Sure. So. All right, so this episode's a little bit different, right? Because I know more about like your personal stuff than what most of the guests that come on here are, right? So for just for shits and giggles, right? So like I'm very proud of you, right? Like you got to 6 months, right? So that's good. But this isn't our first time here, right? So, you know, the one thing about that we're trying to do on this show, at least, is try to show like there's a way to get sober and a way to stay sober, whether it be from drugs and alcohol or even mental health, right? It's all about let's try and get better today so that we can be better, in the future. But you've been doing this same song and dance over and over and over and over again, right? And now we're in another relationship.
Wow.
So far, everything that you've described to me, or that you've been sharing with me and the viewers here, is the same stuff that we've heard. So what's different now as compared to 6 months ago, or let me rewind that, 2 years ago, when you read the book and you now had the cure? Because you rewrote the program of recovery, right? So what's different now? Because 6 months is a great accomplishment. Don't take that away.
Yeah.
Right? And like I'm sure you're gonna, and like I can tell with talking with you, like there is some despair in there, and there is like, you're at least calling your sponsor. That's new, right? So like, what else is new, man? Like, what are you doing different now to make sure that you don't pick up again? Because I'm worried, because I hear you repeating the same patterns.
I have a lot of gratitude, like this time around. Like I don't have anything. Like I lost it all whenever I relapsed. I moved. I went to Florida for like 2 months just to get the hell away from people. I kept in contact with some people, but and I was using, but when I come back, I didn't have anything. I don't have my furniture. I didn't have a place to live. Luckily, Jamie's a very close friend of mine. As long as I could pee clean, I had a place to stay. And I'm thankful for that. And I look at the people in my life that are still in my life, no matter what I do. Like Nikki, Jamie, Tim. My sponsor. You know what I mean? Like, and whenever I lost everything, well, what I thought was everything in my life by losing her, I focused on that door closing. You know what I mean? And didn't understand that, like, there was another one opening. It was another chance that, I don't know, maybe I just wasn't done losing yet, and that was the final straw. I don't know. I just know nowadays, like, even though my life ain't perfect at the moment, like, I am so thankful to have the things that I have. I'm so I'm so thankful to be sober. You know what I mean? And like people say I got a big ego, and like I always say, like there's a difference between ego and confidence. Confidence is knowing you're good at something. Ego is thinking people should bow down to you because you're good at something. And I try to be more helpful with people because like in the past, like I felt the need to push the literature down their throat. And a guy that's in the meetings, like we were talking about that the other day, and he said that he's got pretty substantial clean time and he's a younger kid. And he told me, he's like, sometimes meeting people where they are isn't the fact that like you have to be involved with them, but just understanding that it's their journey, and it might work for them and it might not, but that's their journey.
Right.
And I think that was just part of my journey. Was I hit a certain point where I'm just like, and I've done it before in jail cells and stuff like that, where, you know what I mean, like I'm so done with this, but I get out and like my manipulation will kick in. Where like, oh, like I have like 2 days where like I know I'm not gonna be drug tested, and you know I can go get high and this and that. And the fact of the matter is like there isn't anything I'm going to gain from getting high, and I've come a long way. You know, I don't have my son in my life at the moment, and I'm getting to the point where the couple goals that I am taking out here in the next couple weeks are stepping stones into getting him back in my life. And you know, like missing them pieces of you like that, like when there's a big distance between you and them, it's hard to keep focused on them. And I didn't stay focused on them. I relapsed. You know what I mean? A couple times. But now that it's like I can see the path that I need to be on, and I can, you know, walk towards it. And the other thing is like I'm never gonna get to where I want to be with drugs and alcohol, or them type of like being around them type people. And I think I finally just understood that like I don't have to wear a mask all the time. Like I can just be me. Like people around here see me up, they see me down, they see me up, they see me down. Some of them don't talk to me, but a lot of the ones that are important in my life still do. And I think that just opened my eyes. Where like, you know, maybe I do deserve this.
So that's new.
Yeah,
right.
Really
like
new.
That's new,
it is.
Right? Because like you've never, like all the years that I've known you, like you've never said out loud, at least, I don't care if I don't impress anybody.
Right. Yeah.
Because you've always tried to impress everyone in some way, shape, or form. Right. That chameleon effect that we as addicts do, which is, well, if I can be okay with these people, I'll give them this version. They can see this side. They can see this side. Right. But I mean, that's the key to recovery, right? Is understanding that I am who I am. If you know, what your opinion of me doesn't matter.
Right. None of my
and
business.
like I don't care what you think. I am just me, right?
Right. And it took a lot of it took, because like sometimes like I think that I'm giving versions of myself to people, but like the people that are in my weed, like, you know what I mean, like whenever she died, I made one phone call. I called Jamie, and I heard him spin his car around in traffic, and I heard the motor screaming, and he was like, "I'm on my way," and I didn't have to call nobody else.
Yeah.
And I think that made me realize that like like he knows me, and Nikki knows me, and Tim knows me better than anybody else know me, and I think that made me realize that like they were all right there, and I couldn't wear a mask because I was grieving. I was just vulnerable in there, and they stuck right by my side and made sure I was okay. And I think that was like an eye-opener for me. And I think my disease did kick in a little bit, and it did take advantage of the situation I was in. Like I didn't, you know, I was going to meetings and I was speaking some bullshit about like everything was sharing on her, when it was actuality is she's gone and I'm not. Don't share on her, share on you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think when I finally hit that point, and the crazy thing is when I come out of that relapse, I didn't even do it because I wanted to do it. I did it because the house that I was building failed inspection, and I've never failed an inspection before in my life. And all the guys were packing up to go like away for the weekend and like have like a drink fest. And I was gonna go, but then I failed that inspection, and I was like, wait, you know. So I stayed home and worked 2 16-hour days, got everything caught up, and then whenever Monday morning hit, passed the inspection, and all the trades were right there behind him, so I had no time for nothing. And then it just like I finally like I think my mind went, you failed the inspection because you were using.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then it was just like, okay, I'm done. And then I haven't been really busy or anything like that. And it's just, you know, I go about my daily routine this time, and it's for different reasons. Like, The gym's important, but it's not that important to me. You know what I mean? When I was up at the farm last time, like, it was on my treatment plan. Like, everybody be, like, doing paperwork for treatments. I'd be on the bench. You know what I mean? And it
Please don't call us the farm.
there's cows up there. What do you mean? There are cows right across the street.
Yeah, we do have a farm.
The owner wears cowboy boots. What do you mean? Nice ones, too. Them ostrich-skin ones are nice. But, I mean, I finally hit the point, I think, where, I always say, like, I'm so honest because, like, I'm too stupid to lie. But to be honest with you, I never understood how important that spiritual principle really was.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can't even start to work on myself if I'm not showing myself and exposing who I really am.
Right.
Because then you're just working on a mask, and the mask can be switched out very easily.
Yeah, I mean, I tell my clients all the time, like, you can lie to me all you want, but all I'm doing is helping you on a lie.
I've heard that
if you
before
don't, yeah, I'm pretty sure I probably told you that. Right? You can lie to me all you want, but if you just lie to me, all I'm doing is helping you build that lie.
All right.
So, at the end of the day, man, here's the thing. I usually don't get to play with the cord in my studio. So here's the thing, right? You got 6 months, right?
Yeah.
So this is season 2, right? So I want you to come back on season 3.
All right.
But I want you to come back with another 6 months.
All right.
Because by the time we do this again, that should put you at the year.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that way, hopefully the listener and the viewer can also track your progress, right? So you got a lot of things holding you accountable. Cause I'm here in Butler doing, like, we come down to do this in Butler because the demographic, like, I have a lot of support down here in Butler.
Yeah.
So a lot of people in Butler are about to see this, right, when we air these. So hopefully they hold you accountable and call you on your shit too.
The ones that I have close to me definitely do.
All right.
She's vicious.
I want you to.
She's a savage.
Yeah, well, I want you to really watch this relationship this time and really watch for the repeating of patterns.
She like I don't know.
So I don't want to talk about it.
Well, whatever then. Don't talk about it. It's like it's
We're
different.
gonna do that one later.
Yeah, because she works in recovery, so she humbles the shit out of me. Like there's no like clinger shit. It's go home. Oh, all right. I'll go home for 2 weeks. Won't talk to you then. Hey, how you doing? Like I was forced to be right. I guess I don't know. Like it's not toxicity at all.
At the end of the day, though, remember we cannot build our recovery based off of one thing because it will fail.
Yes.
And your relapses time and time again, like you've shown that. So you understand that. So I'm going to wrap this one up here.
All right.
You're going to come back next year, same time, which I don't know what this is. October what? 10? 12. Today is October 12th.
Yeah.
So you're going to come back in October of next year.
That'd be a year and a half.
25.
It'd be a year and a half. You realize that, right?
Okay.
All right. May.
So October 20th. That's fine. All right. So, as always, man, I want to say, hopefully you heard something today that helped you see something in yourself that can help you stay sober for one more day. Because at the end of the day, that's all it's about, right? This is just about trying to stay sober one more day. You could have been anywhere in the world today, but you chose to sit here and be with us. For that, I am grateful for you. I appreciate you. Please keep tuning in, and hopefully you stay sober one more day. So, thank you for listening.
Thank you for watching.